Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to another Pacer Family Night for Fall 2025. Tonight, we're going to be spending some time talking about studying abroad at Peace. We have a really exciting trip to kind of talk through happening in May 2026 to Japan and South Korea. I won't say more than that just because there's some experts in the room that will be able to chat through it a little bit more. We have Adair Robertson, who is our coordinator of international studies. Then we have Kathy Corley, who is one of our professors for business and for HR, correct?
Yes.
Awesome.
And,
Well,
and a coordinator of international studies.
yes. And I'm so grateful that they're joining us today to kind of talk through their expertise. I'm Megan. I work with family programs, so just making sure that this is coordinated for y'all to learn more about our study abroad trip. But I'll go ahead and pass it off to Kathy and Adair, and they'll kind of walk through this slideshow with you all. And then if there are any questions at the end, we can chat through that. And then as we go through the presentation, if you have stuff and you don't want to forget it, feel free to toss it in the chat and I'll kind of keep an eye on that as we keep going through the presentation. So again, thanks y'all for being here and we'll go ahead and get started.
Adair, do you want me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay. As Megan mentioned, my name's Kathy Corley, and I have been a part of the Peace community since 2004. I've taught human resource courses, business courses, public speaking, and in 2007, I took my first trip with the Peace Group to the Galapagos Islands, and I decided I loved it so much that I kept on doing it, and eventually the university allowed me to be the co-coordinator with Adair on all our study abroad programs. And this one coming up will be my 12th. And Adair, it must be your 30th. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't like counting up things anymore.
But we're so fortunate that we have a university that supports us in this, it just in so many different ways. And this next May, 2026, we are going to Japan and South Korea. Now, this is a step up for us. We have been to Japan, the student group has various times, many times, but we're upping our game a little bit this time and adding South Korea to the program. We realized that South Korea is kind of an up and coming place when it comes to simulation gaming and design and technology and business. And after doing some research, we decided it would be very worthwhile and really add value to the program by including South Korea. So we fly into Japan and into Tokyo. The first several days are there. We have, I think, 4 or 5 days, nights in Tokyo, and then I'll go through some specifics in a minute here. And then we take a real bullet train, which is an experience in itself. The first time I did that, it was really very cool, and the students are excited about that. We take the bullet train to Kyoto, and we're there, I think, in Kyoto just 2 days, 2 nights, and then we fly over to Seoul, South Korea for 3 days and 3 nights. So a lot of different aspects of this program, not only the simulation gaming and design, but a lot of the business industries. But also, I would tell you that this program is open to all majors. Going to Japan is a amazing cultural and historical event. And it's like being in well, obviously it's a different country, but just a whole different culture. So much more remarkable and different than going to Europe. And I adore Europe, but this is a very, very special program we put together. And going to Southeast Asia is just very, very unique. Is there anything to add to that kind of opening or?
Well, I like your opening. I want to reiterate that these programs have a cultural basis. Every one we do is any student could benefit from it. So probably most of the people that go will be business majors in simulation and game design, but doesn't have to, there's no requirement of that at all. So
Exactly.
I'll make sure we understand that.
Yeah, we feel it's so important. I think one of the most, it's a very important aspect of their learning and development is just studying abroad, stepping out of their comfort zone, seeing that, globalization is here to stay. There are many, billions of equally smart people out there, equally creative, equally talented. and to be able to maneuver and interact with people who are different than themselves under the umbrella of having everything taken care of for you is just a really, especially for their generation, especially for these young adults coming up, to be able to do that. We have taken people who have never been outside of the state of North Carolina before. We've had people who've never been on a plane before. So I think all of that is part of the experience too, learning to be a good global traveler and a good global citizen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Once you go somewhere, and this will be a particularly alluring destination, I think, you get the bug that you want to see more and understand more about all these other people out there. And in the end, you'll probably find they're not that different from us. They may eat differently and some superficial things, but they want the same things we want.
Exactly right. Yeah, I mean, one of the things we talk about in our pre-trip prep class is that, we want to get everyone to value and respect and even savor the differences. But like Adair just said, we also come back around and realize that we have more in common than we have differences. And so it's kind of like a bookends. Yes, value those differences, but also know that we have so much more in common than we have differences.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, one more thing I'll say.
Okay.
These programs are all driven by the faculty that want to present the program, because it's a lot of work to do that. And faculty don't get paid extra to do it. They take it on as part of their teaching load, even though it's much more than that.
Simulation game design program.
Yes, in any program. Like last year, we went to Europe, and that came, from other faculty members. So it's something that's organic at Peace and starts at Peace with the faculty that are going to lead the program, which I think is very important.
Mhm.
It's not just a tour guide. We have the tour guides, of course, but it's the faculty that set the tone and the materials that are going to be used in all our programs.
Yeah. I don't know if you want me to jump ahead a little bit and talk about the academic credits, Adair. Should I go ahead and mention that since
Sure.
and on that again, and having done this now for 20 years and really believing in these study abroad programs, I've done some research, other universities, other colleges across the country, and I have yet to find one that does two things, both things that we do to support these programs. One, we provide the students with 3 academic credit hours as part of the program. And the students do not have to pay an additional amount for those credit hours. The tuition for those 3 credit hours is embedded in the price of the program. They receive 1 academic credit hour for taking a pre-trip prep course. It's 7 weeks. We meet 1 night a week for 2 hours each night. And we give them, we want them to maximize every minute they're over there. So we start kind of broad with cultural competencies, and then we kind of narrow into the countries themselves, the cities, and the site visits that we'll be seeing. So they're specific to the country and the sites we'll be seeing. And then they get 2 credit hours for the actual trip itself. The lead faculty usually build in some exercises. Typically, when they get home, they are asked to write a paper about their experiences. But those are, 3 credit hours built into the total cost. The other thing we do, which is quite remarkable, is we offer travel grants. If the student first of all, you have to be a full-time student at Peace. If the student is a full-time student, they get a travel grant if they have a GPA of 2.6 or higher of 1575. And I'm looking at my screen here. But anyway, the full cost, the total cost is 6570. You subtract 1575 from that, as you can see, that brings the price down to 49.95, which is just remarkable for everything that's included. Obviously, it's the full round trip airfare on major airlines. It's all the accommodations in nice hotels. It's all the ground transportation moving us around from site to site. This particular trip has the bullet train, as I mentioned, to Kyoto and back, and that's included. It also has an intra-trip flight over to Seoul, and that's included in this price. All the breakfasts, about half the dinners. There is a full-time tour director with us 24/7. Their fee is included. Any bus driver, theirs is included. Any entrance fees to sites that are on the itinerary, that's included. And we even include basic travel insurance. So you just can't do all of that for even the full price of $65.70. And I've encouraged people to do a little research. It's just not for Japan, and 2 countries over there. It's quite remarkable. Then, in addition to the GPA travel grant, we also offer an additional travel grant if the student is qualified, is documented as financial aid status with us, bringing the price down to $34.50. I'm telling you, you can hardly get a flight over there for that. So it's remarkable what we do. But it's because our administration, believes in this. We want to get as many students to do this as possible. We know it's a lot of money, and we're trying to recognize that and support that with these travel grants. Adair, anything on that? Anything else? Oops. I think Adair's been muted.
Let me see if I can fix it. I was also going to mention.
There we go.
I was also going to mention we did have Professor Chrisman join us, so I didn't know if you wanted me to go to that slide or talk about the dates that are potentially listed for the trip as well.
We can do it. We can kind of go the dates. That just get kind of a basic. We'll get that.
That's good.
For sure.
They are, and it's great because usually we don't know this early, but those dates are they're written in stone now. It's going to be May 14th through May 24th. Typically, we usually have to wait until February, but we have these dates secured for next May.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure this was up on screens for folks so you can take a picture if you'd like to mark that date down, or your student can mark it down after the fact.
I mentioned that, speaking of dates, I'll just throw one other thing. The pre-trip prep class, which is required for the students in order to get their grants, and required obviously for the academic credit. Those will be once a week, and it's typically right after spring break. So about the middle of March, be one night a week. I think we selected Monday nights to meet for less than 2 hours for 7 weeks to go through the pre-trip course information.
I've dropped that in the chat for folks in case you want to revisit that information. And this is also being recorded in case you need to revisit this for any information as well.
So going on to Roger's introduction, or I think there's something.
Yeah.
Are you on, Roger? Do you want to introduce yourself, or can I brag on you?
No need for either, but I just want to say hi, and I'm looking forward to hearing the questions that particularly parents have and such. I do have a couple things that I'd like to share just hearing this far, this much into it, and that is, the mission here at William Peace University is, we're rooted in the liberal arts, but our mission is to prepare our students for careers and organizations of tomorrow. And this is one of the many ways that we live into that. I can say through personal experience that my 2 children, adult children now, both had study abroad experiences, and both of them work with international clients and travel regularly through their work, and have benefited greatly from having this cultural experiences and these opportunities. And so we know that students who study abroad are better candidates for work positions. We get the feedback from hiring managers and all And so we're doing our level best to help support our students to be best prepared for uh, careers and organizations of tomorrow. And this is one significant way that we really work towards that. I've had the pleasure of being on more than 10 of these study abroad experiences all over Qatar and Europe. And I've led trips to Mexico. I've led trips to Japan and now going to Korea and other places. But um, I just know through experiences with our alumni and the feedback that they'll come back. I won't hear from an alum for 7 years, but when they come back, they'll say, I really valued X, Y, and Z, and that study abroad experience and some things from class and all. But that's what we're working hard here for. And I really think if I was on the other end of this message, that's the key message I would really like parents to understand and value. And so again, I look forward to hearing your questions, but I really think yeah, this is an outstanding opportunity. Professor Corley, mentioned the money aspect of it. And I think something I like to point out is that Peace gets zero of those dollars. All of that goes to a third-party vendor who's a professional organization that has 1 million students a year that they support and travel abroad and travel opportunities. And everything goes to that vendor to cover the logistics that we've mentioned and everything. But we are so eager for our students to have this experience that in addition to that, there are these grants, these travel grants, and there is no charge for the tuition. It's not even that it's embedded in the money because Peace gets $0 from this. It is, we provide the students the tuition free for these credits. And I think that's something that is extremely unique. I honestly don't know of another university that does that. But it all comes down to the faculty and the administration and the staff wanting to support our students' growth. And we know how valuable the skill of being culturally aware is in our world, and we only see that increasing. So I'm very excited to work with my colleagues and make this happen. We focus very much on safety. We focus very much on the experience. And our students love these experiences, particularly those that were apprehensive, maybe going into it. They come back a totally different perspective on the world, and that's what matters to us as teachers.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, that sounds like a great lead-in to talk about what they can expect on the trip for like all the different stops and everything if we wanted to go through those slides.
Okay. I want to just piggyback quickly though before we do on something Roger mentioned, and that is we've been looking at this for years, but employers truly do value this kind of experience in their new employees. It provides them with what sometimes we call soft skills, but just in the last week, and I haven't even shown this to Roger and Adair yet, there's a new report out from the Forum on Education, and just these skill sets that employers are looking for: curiosity, relationship building, tolerance for ambiguity, resilience, perspective taking. These are all things that are going to be resume builders for them, and things that most of them, maybe not all of them, but it is becoming, like Roger said, a very global driven world for employment out there. And this is just really just another huge advantage for them as they go out in the world. Okay, so on these highlights, this is Tokyo obviously up there on the screen. And I'm just going to make a general comment, and then Adair and Roger, you can chime in, is that our programs, and particularly this one, has a great balance of the academic, what we call the the academically related experiences, as you can see the animation school on there and a variety of things, but also, like we said before, all those wonderful, amazing cultural experiences, because we are in Japan. The shrines and the gardens, the Imperial Palace, the wonderful parks, the fun, huge fish market, the authentic tea ceremony. So it's a great balance, and that's why it is also, as we've said, great for all majors, because we do have a mix of academically related industry experiences as well as just the pure cultural delights they will learn about. And I don't know, Darren, Roger, you went on the 1 in 23. These are pretty much what was on the tour before, if I'm not mistaken. And the students really enjoyed it.
Yes, they were incredible things. And the students found a few more to add in during their free time, which they can do as long as they're going with at least 2 people. No one can just go out by themselves. They came up with some things that as a group they wanted to see, and they figured out how to use the metro system to do so. Very impressive.
You want me to go to the next one?
Okay. And then we have the 2 days in Kyoto and Nara, and I can remember being there. It was just beautiful. It really does get more into the cultural side of things. We take the bullet train there, as I mentioned, because this is where the temples are, and the gold pavilion and the shrines. And this Nara Park is where these amazing deers will come and bow to you, I've heard. I don't recall that, but I don't know if you and Roger and Adair, you saw that, but the students were telling me about it at the last meeting we had, that it was quite impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Next
And
one.
then with
Oh, go ahead.
this trip, now we go to Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the next slide?
Yeah.
And visit Seoul.
And this is, I have not been to Seoul. I haven't been to South Korea. I don't know if either of my colleagues have, but this is also, we touched a little bit upon our logistical travel partner, EF Tours, which stands for Educational First Tours. And they have been around for 55 plus years. Roger said they take 1 million US students and other travelers abroad every year. They have a presence globally in like 50 countries, and they have a lot of presence in Seoul, and they're the one that kind of encouraged us to take a look at Seoul. But they will have with us, part of what we pay for, as I mentioned, is a full-time tour director who will be able to, not only take us to the sites that are mentioned, but make suggestions on where to eat and those kinds of things. And just having that person with us is worth their weight in gold. I mean, they can handle everything that might pop up, questions. They obviously are fluent in the language, but this is going to be an exciting new experience. And there's some things on there that look really fun, like to go to the top of the Seoul Tower. I didn't know that Korea was famous for their barbecue, so a lot of fun things to explore there as well.
I have a couple other slides that are just about EF if you want me to kind of click through those, or we can also transition into questions if folks have those as well.
Okay.
Let me pull up those ones. You kind of touched on some of these, so I can go to the other one because I do have a slide that talks about travel protection and some other things too. And so what else is included in the trip?
Okay. Yeah, they're a huge organization, very robust, lots of resources. And again, that gives us as faculty members a lot of comfort knowing that we have this massive organization there to help us with anything.
Right.
Yeah. Now, this is a good list here of what's included, and some of it I did mention. The air flights, obviously, round trip out of Raleigh, back to Raleigh. Typically, and we won't know exactly what the flight path. What's that? Was there a question or?
Did you have a question, Rob?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
No worries, no worries. In February is when EF makes the flights for us, and then we'll know whether we fly through Dallas or whether we fly through LA or Seattle or whatever. But obviously, they get us all the way to Tokyo and they get us all the way back home. And they are always on major carriers, Delta, American, United, and so forth. Safe quality hotel rooms. They have in-suite bathrooms. They are not the Ritz, but they are good quality hotel rooms we stay in. As I mentioned, that 24/7 field director who's with us. All the transportation, normally, like when we were in Europe, it was just bus transportation, but here we're going to have the bullet train as well as the intra-trip flights. We have a great itinerary as we covered some of that. If anything is on the itinerary, if there's an entrance fee, that's covered as well. Often in different, as we go into different cities, there'll be local guides and their fees are paid for. And then just some of the support, as mentioned, from EF 24/7 emergency hotline. They also have, EF also has a link to what they call Trip Funder, which is similar to GoFundMe, except that everything that goes into that Trip Funder from relatives and friends and whatever goes to pay for the trip. It doesn't. There's no cut taken for that service. And we put down, most gratuities. We typically collect about $30 per traveler in the spring, just to be able to tip the field director and sometimes the bus drivers as well, for those who've done an exceptional job. And I think I mentioned it though, but Peace does provide basic travel insurance as well. And that's something you just always want to travel with these days with insurance. So that's another thing that's included on there.
Yes, I do a slide that talks about the additional protection stuff after you wrapped up here.
Okay, great. Yeah, now you will have to pay for your own passport, and we are encouraging people to, if they haven't got it started, to get it rolling. It's, I think, about $150, $160, but they're good for 10 years. We encourage people to pack light, but if you have extra bags, like more than one, I think it depends on the airline, of course, and we don't know which one that is. But you get one checked bag for free, and of course your carry-ons. But if you need more than that, then there may be extra fees. Personal spending money. What we do in the prep class is we provide everybody with a estimation of what they should budget for lunches, for bottled water, for and all the little extra snacks you might have or want during the day. And of course, then those are the main things: is the extra food, and of course whatever you want to spend on souvenirs.
Let me just pop that up there as well.
Okay, this is a slide that was written by EF Tours, and the main difference is they offer basic travel insurance as well, which is the light blue column, and that's pretty much what Peace provides to you for free. So we encourage people, if they just need that basic travel insurance, you can just use the Peace free travel insurance. The other column to the right there, which is in the darker blue, EF Tours provides their very comprehensive, super duper travel insurance. And that, as you can see, I think it's on there, is if you do purchase that, and it's not cheap, it's about $500, you can cancel for any reason whatsoever up to 24 hours before departure and get your money refunded to you. So if, whatever your personal situation may require, if you need that kind of coverage, then you can purchase that when you enroll with EF Tours. Questions?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that's pretty much all of the specific slides that I have. I can go ahead and put up the slide that talks about, that has the QR code if folks would like to scan it. It goes directly to the page that we have for this trip, and has a bit more, if you're looking for truly date by date kind of breakdown of everything. That's where you can access that through this QR code. This is also on the family portal. But yeah, if folks have questions, feel free to unmute or drop them in the chat and we can kind of field them. This is really your time to ask anything else about, experiences, what we can expect. If I need to go back to the finances slide, I can totally do that as well. Yes, I will go back to the finances slide. We did have some questions that came in a bit early before we started this presentation that kind of talked through some like hypotheticals. Do we want to chat about if any of you have like a senior student and like what that would look like if like a student is a senior and wants to go on the trip, how that impacts them, if they can still do that? And I'll pull up the finances slide while we're talking about that.
Sure. Yes, so even those seniors who are graduating in December are eligible for these grants. So, we want to encourage people to attend. So whether you graduate in May and even as early as this December, you are still eligible for all the grants that are offered. Let's see here. And Megan, I was just looking at some of these other questions that are kind of related, and this is related to the financial end, is that if your student, a full-time student, does qualify for one or both of these grants, what happens is that once they enroll, Professor Robertson sees their name and sends them a brief application where they fill out contact information and a short essay on why they want to study abroad. And then she'll check the GPA, obviously. She'll check about the financial aid, and then she will begin the processing of the paperwork, and which can take up to 4 weeks or so. But it's because it goes from our financial office. The paperwork first has to go to our financial office, and then they send a check to EF Tours and to their financial office, and eventually it hits the student's account. Now,
Right.
it can be somewhat nerve-wracking waiting, but I've been doing this for 20 years and every single one comes through eventually. So whatever their account balance is, if that 1575 then hits, when it hits, then that'll come right off the balance. Adair, did you want to add to that?
No, that you said it well. You have to be a little patient.
Yeah. But it always comes through every time.
Yes.
The other thing is relative to finances. There was a question of, can you sign up for land only? And yes, you do. Just when you enroll, you need to work with EF Tours. I think the land only price is something like 4,300, something like that. And of course, that's before the grants, but that means you would have to pay for your own flights. And we don't encourage that, especially for some place that's a little bit more remote than just going over to London or something, because you not only have to pay for your flights, but then you have to pay for your transportation to get from the airport to the hotel where we all are. Same thing going back. There are people that do that and it is available to you, but you do have to keep those other costs that you will incur in mind. And the other question, I'm going a little bit away from finances at this point, but we had a question about how does it work for family members or non-Peace students? We like to look at this as it's open. We don't open this up to the public, but we open it up to our Peace community. And if any of the students have family members or friends, we let our alums know about it. And it seems like on almost every single study abroad program we do, there are family members, sometimes parents, cousins, siblings, maybe even a friend from a different college. As long as somebody knows that person, they're more than welcome to come. Now, the big difference is they, of course, are not eligible for these grants, so they would be paying the full price for the program.
We also had a question in the chat, Kathy, that talks about like when and how are the payments expected for the trip. I'm assuming that's mostly through EF, but is there kind of a breakdown that's listed once folks enroll, or is that listed like on the website?
It is on the EF website. I can give you the basics of it. Obviously, when you enroll, and you can, some people like to upgrade even to single rooming, but when you enroll, you'll see what your full amount due is. And then EF, you can pay the whole thing if you want right there. And there, believe it or not, there are people that do that. Or EF has two types of payment plans if you don't just pay it off. One is called their automatic payment plan, and you set it up with EF that you want either monthly or twice a month deductions coming either from a credit card or from some kind of bank account, and those are automatically deducted and they spread it out over the course of time. Final payments are typically due by early to mid-April every year. So we encourage people, because the sooner you enroll, the smaller those monthly payments are going to be. So you can spread it out over time. The other type of payment plan that EF offers is called their manual plan, and now that they will charge you an additional $100 for that because it's more work for them. But that is where you enroll. And by the way, let me just back up and add one thing. There is a $95 non-refundable enrollment fee. That $95 does go against your balance. So after that, if you choose the manual plan, you can pay it off as you wish. Let's say you got some holiday presents coming up, and come December 15th, you want to pop them $1,000 or whatever. So the automatic one, you can just enroll in that. It's taken out of your whatever account, your credit card account or your bank account on a monthly or a semi monthly basis, or you can do the manual plan for the additional $100. Did I answer that question? I think so.
Yeah.
And it is once you get in and once you enroll, you'll see all this in their web page. It's all laid out, and you get to pick what you want, which plan you want to use.
Could we also touch on the class piece? So someone has a student that took the class prior to the Japan trip in 2023 and is graduating in December. So does he have to retake the class?
That, I mean, if they've graduated, and we have had students who have graduated in December and who are working, and we have not had them have them take the class because sometimes they aren't even in town. But that's something that person should discuss with Professor Chrisman.
Yeah, I'll just answer that. Every situation is a little different, but from what you just described, the student is now an alum. Yes. So they would not have to take the class credit for the credit. Now, it's a slight disadvantage in that we do build community during those 7 evenings, and we do answer their questions and help prepare them culturally. We do a little bit of the language. We do a little bit of where we'll be going and what we'll be seeing, doing a little bit of research they'll be doing. And so, we encourage it. They would certainly be welcome, but it is not a requirement. They will officially be an alum. And so we don't require any alum or their family members to come. They're not required, but we encourage it because we'd like to build community so that people know each other and all before we travel. I think that's about as clear as I can make it. Does that answer the question?
And we do encourage, non-family members who've signed up for the trip, if they, want to come to some or all of these prep classes. We've heard really positive feedback that way they maximize their time on the ground too, and they know more about, the culture and the land and the site visits. So,
Yes.
But the students are required, but everybody else is highly encouraged to attend.
But not required.
Yes.
It looks like we have another one in the chat as well about students having their own hotel room. I guess just touching on if they are sharing with another student or how that would work.
Okay, well, the pricing is based, the student pricing is the $65.70, and of course that's before the grants. And that EF Tours, their rooming structure is that's a triple to a quad. And most students, that's what they're accustomed to rooming in these days anyway, triple or quad. What we found though over the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 trips with EF is more and more hotels are only doubles. So even though they are paying for a triple or quad, they kind of get, in some cases, depending on the hotel, get upgraded to a double or a twin room instead. If they want to guarantee that they'll have a twin room or 2 people to a room, then they can pay, I think it's like an additional $500 or $600 more. And they can even guarantee a single room for an additional expense. So, but the pricing, the basic pricing, EF Tours defines as a triple or a quad occupancy, with the opportunity to upgrade to double or single. Yeah.
I'm not seeing any new questions come up in the chat. For any of my folks that maybe have joined the meeting a little bit late, does anyone have any additional questions that like maybe you missed some content or you'd like to see the slides that talk about what's happening on the trip, where folks are going, kind of those attractions? Yes. I am planning on sharing the slides and this is recorded, and I will absolutely, like, if folks have any questions, feel free to email myself at pacerfamily@peace.edu and I'm happy to direct you to the right channels. I've also dropped the link to the web page that is linked through EF in the chat, and I'll drop it again as I'm kind of talking about it, and that will have a lot of the information that will be helpful for you all to reference. And all of this will be in the family portal as well. That is a great question. Is there a deadline for them to sign up?
It's a very good question. The EF deadline is usually the end of January. However, if we meet, we're targeting no more than 30-ish. And when we reach that deadline, that could happen at any point in time. And this is a very popular trip, so I encourage people to, not only do they have longer to pay for it, but this could be one where we impose a deadline before the end of January.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to that. It's not so much that there's a deadline, but it's really going to be the first 30. We'll serve the first 30 that are able to put a deposit down and do that. And that is just for logistics. When we're on the ground and moving from place to place, on the subway or a bus, whatever we're doing, checking in, we just want to keep it at a maximum of 30 students or 30 travelers. So I know that there's 17 signed up right now. I've spoken to 3 students who said they're going to be signing up in the next little bit. So those last 10 spots, my educated guess, will be filled up before the end of October. I may be optimistic, but that's my educated guess based on previous experience with this travel abroad experience. I wish we could take more, but we have to look at the whole thing, and that's, from my experience doing this in the past, that's where we're comfortable, is at that 30 mark. I hope that answers the question.
I think so. Thank you, Professor Chrisman. Does anyone else have any other questions while we have folks here? Well, I will do one more kind of like run over of like things that are upcoming for family programs. And I mean, this is slated to go until 7:30. So if folks have more individual questions, we can kind of hang out for a little bit to kind of answer those pieces. But just for things that are coming up for PACER family programs and being part of the Peace community, both in person and virtually, I do want to make another shameless plug. Family Weekend is coming up at Peace. Family Weekend will be taking place October 24th, 25th, 26th. So about 2 weeks from now. Registration is still open. We would love to host you on campus. We have a full weekend of events, and we'll also be aligning with the state fair and a men's soccer game, which is awesome. And then I will have two more virtual programs for family members in November. So, talking about financial aid and planning ahead. So, no matter what year your student is, it'll be a super great conversation with our director of financial aid talking about planning ahead for future years and how to make sure that you're making the most bang for your buck at Peace. And then for any of my families that are first year families, talking about what second semester will look like. So, I'll share more information about that. But thank you all for being here. Like I mentioned, I will share this recording. I will share these slides. I will share contact information for the folks that were on the call today, and kind of make sure that y'all are in the loop as much as possible. Like they said, there's no deadline, true deadline for the trip, but it sounds like spots are going fast. So if you're interested, it might be a great time to kind of hop on that opportunity. I'll kind of pause here, and if anyone else has any other individual questions, I'm going to stop the recording. So again, thanks for all of your time, for my Peace faculty for being here with me. And then, yeah, thanks for watching if you're watching this later on. But I'll go ahead and stop the recording. And then if there are any other questions.